my friends stand by me only if I'm right. I come out of triple darkness just to see the light. If I say it once, I guarantee I say it twice. If they want me, I ain't going out without a fight. In my dreams, I'm a killer, but for God, man. Try to play it cool, but it's getting hard, man. Rolling with the real and death to all the frauds, man. Not too many of me, yeah, it's kinda hard, man. In my room, sitting in my room. Know they waiting on me and I'm coming soon. Never been a sellout, never been a coon. Y'all be on the camera acting, I'ma show them how I true it.
You go through these moments in business, you're gonna find out who you are. When you go through these moments with your girlfriend, you're gonna find out who you are.
Right, yeah.
On the other side of your pain is a newer, improved version of yourself.
2.0.
And that's the person you gotta become. That's why the life keeps sending you these messages, these lessons to learn. That's why life keeps sending them to you. And if you don't learn it, it's gonna send it to you again.
You know,
Damn.
one of those gray areas when parenting, I think, for me has been, you know, those spaces where, you know, there are certain things as a parent that you know is absolutely clear what you want to communicate and how things are going to go, what you want to express to your children. And we always say, you know, do the right thing. Always make the right decision. Be smart. I always tell my children that when they leave the house. Be smart. Be safe. Be smart.
Okay.
Do the right thing. And then there are these times when they do all of that and they make that investment and things didn't turn out well.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't go like they intended.
Right.
It could have went worse. It could have backfired. It looks like the guidance you gave them
Wasn't
about
sufficient.
a certain thing was just, why did I listen to him?
Mm-hmm.
Right? When they make that investment, and there are some spaces in life where there are some unexpected consequences or things don't turn out as we intend, how did you parent through those spaces?
Well, actually, what I would say is you want those you want a certain level of things not going the right way, because one thing as an adult that we understand is man, that journey is where you get most of your most valuable lessons at the journey. And just like if you was to take a road trip, you know, and you're traveling to, let's just say, California, right? You know, you're gonna run into some traffic, right? You might have a flat tire along the way, but at the same time, you know, that's just your experiences that everything ain't gonna go as planned.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, we're gonna get to California because we just gonna fix that. We're gonna tweak this, we're gonna get there, and we're gonna keep moving along. And so the journey is definitely as well needed as well as the outcome.
Right. So when that happens, so if it has happened for you with Tyreek, for example, and you know it's gonna be some bumps. So the long-term goal is you saying, yeah, I'm gonna let him know we get some jerk. What is it in that space where he hurting?
Right.
What's the conversation like? You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
let me say it again. In the space where he's hurting and you hurting for him, because that's what happens.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna share my experiences. And I'm gonna let him know that it's okay. You know, it's okay. You're gonna feel a little pain. That's just your growth spurt. And so I'm gonna warn him, but sometimes I can't warn him every single thing. Like I can't think of everything that might occur in this certain situation. But at the same time, I'm gonna definitely I'm gonna equip him as much as possible. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna get him through it.
Mm-hmm.
And we and sometimes we're gonna have to go through it together. Sometimes he's gonna have to go on his own.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I say that there's zero guarantees in life, right? And we're not guaranteed to be here tomorrow. Don't nobody owe you nothing, right? However, all we can do is play the odds, right? And so I'm gonna try to put you in the best position to be successful, and understand that sometimes you can do everything right and still go wrong, you know. But keep doing right anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That's the lesson you got to get to them.
Keep doing right anyway. Why?
Because again, there's no 100% formula for success. But if you keep doing right and we keep doing this, you're gonna win more often than lose.
Okay.
What about when it looked like the people doing wrong getting ahead?
So it will, because sometimes
They
we
do.
will, by sheer dumb luck, win. You know what I'm saying? And Talik, you very good at the grace versus mercy. But sometimes we just get it and we stumble upon it, and then we think we all of that because we won, when it was actually somebody pulling the strings or blessing us. Does that make sense?
I
I'm
got it
trying
as a
to think of
book.
an example.
Y'all know the book. One of the first books we all got told to read when we woke up, As a Man Thinketh,
So is he.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And As a Man Thinketh, James Allen, I'm not as good as Joaquin with them quotes, bro, but I can tell you what he was talking about.
Sum it
But
up.
James Allen was talking about that because he talks about every station we are in life is a result of the way we think, right? Good or bad. And so, but he said sometimes a man can see a man being successful, but immoral, and say, why is he blessed, but immoral? And the man is moral, but not blessed. And James Allen says is that man has unlocked a law of the universe according to the thing that has led to his success that doesn't have anything to do with his morality.
Right.
Good God.
That's real good.
You see what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And so when we looking around, so that the message to the person is, you wondering why you said he evil, but why he keep winning? You know why? Because he's very astute in business. You know why? Because he gets up every day at 5 o'clock when you sleep, and he lining up his products to go sell, as immoral as he is. And so it's not about you doing right and then getting upset because
Correct.
you don't win, because it's a whole lot to your point that goes into why you ultimately get blessed
Right.
with success.
And
you
doing
know?
right is not just doing right morally, doing right character-wise.
Yeah.
It's doing the right things business-wise or whatever.
Yeah,
other
absolutely.
areas as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And like I say, even that guy who looked like he winning, he's still taking some L's somewhere along the line. You
Yeah.
may not see him, they may not be as severe, but he's still taking some L's.
You know, I think, sometimes, man, we on this podcast, I wonder what the audience, I wonder how the audience, if you were to ask them to describe the content beyond the parenting, or if they were to describe some of the nuances, right? Because we talk a lot about God on this show.
Mm-hmm.
And freely and openly, right? And Joaquin is our philosophical universalist guru, right? But what we all point to some very high level principles about how this world works, man. And I say that because I want to talk about God again. I'm telling people, we're not trying to be a religious show, but this is critical. If you gotta teach children, when we talk about what you teach them at a young age, you gotta teach them how the world works at a young age, man. You gotta teach them about universal law and how it's set up so that when you make investments, it yields, but sometimes it just don't. And it's okay. And it ain't got nothing to do with you. And it ain't got nothing to do with the world picking on you and whether it's your turn or not. I just went through a situation, man, in my personal life, right? Where I feel I was doing everything that I needed to do to make the thing successful, an endeavor.
Okay.
I felt the season was right. I felt the timing was right. I felt the investment was right. I felt the effort was right. The research was right. And it didn't work. And it was expensive for it to not work. Right?
Right.
And I'm in my 50s, and like, we at the place now when we take risks, they got to be very calculated because we don't have 30 years of recovery,
Right.
Big facts.
as far as we know.
Very true.
Right? And so, but I say all of that to say, though, that I didn't allow myself to say, man, why is it not working for me? Why this not doing this? Why this not doing that? All I did was, this must not be the thing. Let me redirect my energy around some other talent let me start focusing on something else. And just said, charge it to the game, it's over. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Charge it to the game. Keep my head up, okay? That won't the one. That won't the lick. the things that happened subsequently after that, some of it I talked to you about, some of it I've been talking to you about before, but beyond what I shared with you the other day, it's so many things I can point to you that quadrupled what I was trying to do and set me up beyond what that was even going to do for me.
Come on, talk about
Do
it.
you understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
So, like, to the point when, that we say Jay-Z made the quote on Kevin Hart show, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And Don Staley's quote, man, oh my gosh, after that game. Did y'all see that interview after the game?
Yeah, shout out to
Mhm.
Yep.
Coach Staley.
That sister said, when they asked her, how did you help this team recover from the loss last year? And how does it feel right now? She said, you know what? God is funny like that.
Right, yeah. Yeah,
He will
she
take,
sure
she
did.
said it again.
She sure did.
God is funny like that. He will take you. He will absolutely tear your heart apart, she said. He will tear your heart to pieces
Mm-hmm.
and then do the unimaginable just to make you believe.
It's funny. Before you even saying that, what came to mind when we first set it off, was, I believe it's in the Holy Quran. Hard trials are necessary to establish the truth,
Mhm.
and so I look at that as the trial establishing the truth of, is it for you? Is it that season?
Right.
Do you have enough faith? Are you truly faithful in what that endeavor is, or what, you know what I'm saying? Or the trial, when also says that he'll try you to see how sincere you are in your faith in him.
That's it.
You know, so that's the thing that came to my mind with regards to reminding my son or sons or whomever, daughter, in this case for me, that just to let them know and remind them that it's a trial for them to test their faith, to test their fortitude and perseverance, and just to remind them to keep on going despite of that. And as well as what I've also tried to do is, well, I guess you kind of have to watch them to make sure that it's not so devastating to them that they had in some way made that a form of an object of worship, so to speak. You know what I mean? To where they don't put that as to be a God beside God.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
to definitely make sure that that's not the case, depending on how long they stay in their, defeatism and whatever.
Right, but the main point and the point that I make with that statement about what Don Staley was saying is that therefore, why would you even see something as a negative thing, a consequence even when you don't get it? Or why do you even see it? It's hard because we want it, but she's saying just be patient.
Right.
It's okay. The hurt is gonna happen. It's okay. But don't make that. You know what we do? We blame ourselves and we take a victim mentality. Man, why I ain't get? And that's been our people's problem. Instead of having the faith we say we have when we go to church and to the mosque and to the synagogue,
Come on.
we start blaming like I ain't doing it not. Plus they ain't do me this. They ain't let me in the door. And this what happened. And
Yeah,
all
you're trying
this.
to bargain with God.
Taking away from your character.
Right.
So.
My man E was talking about just because you've been victimized don't mean you need to become a victim. And so how you respond to what happens to you is paramount. When my sons have gone through your original question, how you help them get through it, the first thing I want to sit down and talk to them about is making sure that they don't conflate their religious and faith principles with business principles. Your good character can but it is not always going to be a determining factor whether you had a business success that you want to have.
Okay.
It's not likely to.
Yeah, and it's not likely to. And don't so many times, man, people get frustrated because like I'm doing all the right stuff. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And you know what? You gonna make it to the pearly gates. But they ain't got nothing to do with why your bank account negative $1,500.
Yeah.
They ain't got nothing. They ain't got nothing to do with that. All right. And so after explaining that component to them, I then try to remind them that guess what? On the other side of your pain is the new and improved version of you that's gonna be required to help you get through and become a new person so you can have the victory that you're looking for. So whenever we go through something, I always tell the boys, for a long time, and I ain't gonna say I've always been like this, but I've been like this for a really long time, and I can't remember when it happened. Whatever's going on in my family, whatever's going on with loved ones or finances or anything, I have never, that I can remember, prayed for an outcome. I never pray for an outcome. If you're sick, I don't ever pray for you to get better. You know what I pray for? I pray for strength because I don't know what's best. And I think when we pray for outcomes, we think we know what's best. We don't know what's best. We don't know what God has in store. You know, I can't imagine. I just think of something superficial. You know, I coached for a long time, right?
How long you coach?
Over 2 decades.
That's about 20 years.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah.
But I reflect back on, and I'm a big diehard.
Don't
Virginia
pray for
fan.
me. No,
Yeah, you pray for me. I think about, you know, I'm a big Virginia fan, and so we know the story of Jim Valvano and the 1983
No.
run that the NC State team made to win a national championship.
Mhm.
And that guy subsequently, that coach, died of cancer. Now, you pray for outcomes and you pray for him to get better. Yeah, but you pray for strength. You pray for the people around, the people associated, and the people that understand. And through his death has come the Jimmy V Foundation that has raised hundreds of millions of dollars for cancer research and all those other things to help millions and millions of people's lives. Does the Jimmy V Foundation come about if
He lived
Jimmy
on.
V live and go on to win another national championship? I don't know.
It could.
I think the question you raise is a amazing question. But my question would be though is, do you think Jimmy V's life was to come here and live so there would be a foundation?
Absolutely.
That's what you think?
I do. I
Okay.
do. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
You know, I think, you know, I always say, you know, once again, basketball analogy. We all know, well, we all may not know the story of Texas Western winning the
No.
first national championship with
Yeah.
the first team
Oh, five.
with all 5 black starters to win a national championship in 1967. Now, they beat Adolph Rupp and the Kentucky Wildcats, which everybody thought, you know, Kentucky is this big team. You know, Pat Riley was on that team.
Yep.
And I've always wanted to ask Pat Riley if, knowing what came after that, because that's what kind of opened it up for all of the, you know, black players going into major universities and all that stuff. But they had to lose for that to happen. If Kentucky beat Texas Western, I doubt seriously if the integration happens at that time, you know, the way it did. But because Texas Western beat them and then all those things, do you think, like, as a player, like if I was a Pat Riley, I would think, you know, nah, we needed to lose that game because there was a greater purpose, far greater than us winning a national championship. And that's why I say you don't ever pray for outcomes.
But see, I get it, and I understand what you're saying, but I think it's easy to say that in hindsight. I think it's
absolutely.
easy. In hindsight, it's easy to look back and understand the clarity of the picture.
That's right. And that's
You know what
why
I'm
I
saying?
say
But-
I don't pray for outcomes
But for me,
in the
what
moment.
I recognize, the main thing I recognize is me not knowing, being the best knower, but this is what I do, and what I would say is I don't think it's much different. Is I must pray for an outcome, but I am also going to say, Allah, please bless such and such with health and a recovery, and I pray that is your will. And if it is not your will, then I pray that you give everybody the strength to endure your will.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's a similar.
It's a combination.
But
of,
so I want an outcome from my limited understanding, but I also acknowledge that I understand that it is totally
Maybe
God's
a greater
outcome
purpose,
and will for
that
it
he
to be
had.
done. But I hear you, because we typically never understand his plan or whatever happens in the impacts of it. But to your point, though, I think the larger point is the strength.
absolutely.
That's the point.
Absolutely.
The point you're making is we need strength. And we need strength to not blame ourselves, to get through things. And when these so-called, even though like for us, we called the topic when we were playing around with it, consequences, right? And that's what people call it. But why do we even call it a consequence? It's really just an effect.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The universe operates on cause and effect.
Yes.
For every effect, there's a cause. So if something happens, it's an effect that was caused by something. So it's not like, you know what I'm saying? Like so if you blame yourself for it or think it's all about you, then how you gonna govern all the causes and effects?
Right.
It doesn't even make sense.
Exactly.
And you're gonna lose sometimes. The other thing the Quran says is, and we have made some of you to excel others. Some of y'all better at stuff than other people.
Right.
Right?
Very true.
It doesn't mean you better in the eyesight of God, but
Right.
I made the lion able to eat the gazelle. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a reality. That's why I said we gotta teach the children how the world works. It's a reality of the space that we were blessed to be birthed into, that things happen. So don't blame yourself. And when the consequence comes, redirect yourself around your target and keep moving, because your conscience is gonna tell you what to do next.
Keep moving is the key. Keep moving is the key. Because you only lose when you don't move.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Come on now.
Always
What's say it
gotta
again, JG?
Keep moving. If you're not in the game, you can
You only
never
lose.
win.
You say
He
you only
do the
lose.
rhyme again.
I know. Yeah. See,
Hey, look,
he
You only
forgot that
lose
quick.
when you
can
don't
I ask
move.
y'all a question?
You only
Yeah.
lose when you don't move.
When you have you ever taken a hike up a mountain or up rocks or anything like that?
They don't want
On a
that.
field trip? As an escort, nigga, you just going to go.
Yeah.
But look, when you start off, and I'm not a big hiker, as y'all know, but I've been on hikes or walks. Y'all gonna be able to make the comparison. When you start off, is it easy or is it hard?
Oh, it's easy.
No, it's not. All the rocks and stuff at the
Oh,
beginning.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You gotta get over.
Oh,
the
I was
entry
thinking in
part.
terms of my energy level.
Yo, all right, but look. But yeah, you're right. That part. But actually, as you ascending, the smoothness of the walk, the higher you get, and gets better, right? But when you get to the top, that's where all the beauty is.
Yeah.
The beauty is all the way at the top. The beauty is at the top when the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. The hardest step is the first step. The beauty is always after the pain, the struggle, the birth, the beauty of a child, the mother. She forgets all of the pain from 30 seconds ago at the joy of the new life. It's always that precipitates that. So Myron Goldman, I've said it because he just said, I just saw a reel the other day. He said, nothing that starts off easy ends off great.
Yeah.
Or beautiful or successful.
Yeah.
He called it
Nothing.
the hard, easy principle.
Yeah.
He
nothing.
said, if it's hard in the beginning, it'll be easy later.
Exactly.
If it's easy in the beginning,
It's gonna be
it's
hard.
gonna be hard later.
So in this journey about consequences and stuff happening to us, right? And it's hard. Okay. Pay your dues. So back to my story, what I told my sons, I was like, listen, the stuff that's happening for me now, the other thing was just a workout. It was like being in the gym. Go put the hours in. It didn't have nothing relevant to what I got going on now. But let me go see if you're ready to go get up at 4 a.m. and grind. Let me go see if you're willing to do that and it don't work and still believe. And then you know what? Let me clear the way, because here goes some other stuff that's actually more conducive to your skills.
Bro, we all going through that right now with this podcast.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Facts.
You know, how many, they always say 25% of people that create a podcast only do one episode,
Right.
and 60% never get to episode 11.
Right.
And to go even further, 96, 97% never get to episode 51. But how many times are we willing to come here, sit here, and do what we do and try to help the people that watch this, and even more, before we say, you know what, this ain't working. You got to have a crazy amount of faith and belief in doing what you're doing and knowing that the fruits will come. The fruits will come. I tell my sons all the time, I say it to them all the time, and now is the time to say it. Dad, if you don't know what to do, put your head down, work as hard as you can. That will never be the wrong answer.
Right.
That will never, I may not know, you ought to do this, you ought to do that. Maybe I don't have those answers, but I know universal law tells me that if I put my head down, concentrate, focus, give it all my effort, and do everything I can, that will never be the wrong answer.
People used to always say, what don't kill you make you stronger.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so we all love sports so much. And I'm reiterating what you guys just said in a different way. I think about lifting weights. When you're a young guy in 9th grade, you might not can bench 100 pounds. You know what I'm saying? And so when you go in there, guess what's going to happen? You can be hurting the next day.
Right.
You understand what I'm
You're
saying?
gonna feel it.
You can be hurt. So you got two choices. You can quit the weight room or you can keep going. But what you don't know at that age is your body is, you breaking your muscles down, right? And it's going to heal itself. Then you go back in there again. Then you get the 150. Then you hurt. Then you go back again. Then you get the 200. Then the 250, etc. So that's how life works. So when you feeling your weakness, just make sure it's just making you strong. Just stay the course.
On the other side of
Stay
that
the
pain
course. Yeah,
is a new and better and improved version of you.
Exactly.
And today, day one, is the hardest it will ever be.
Mm.
And guess what? Day 100 is still 100 pounds.
Right.
Only thing changed was you.
Yeah.
The problem is that, and I think the microwave idea, it was a great idea. Well, no, it's not a good idea because radiation is terrible. But we're a microwave society.
Yeah.
We want the success right now. We want everything,
and we
right
want
now.
it big now.
Yeah.
We don't want a little bit. We don't want it a little bit at a time.
We want it all. We
we
deserve
want
it already. It's
yeah.
owed to us.
We want rocket
Right?
success.
I was looking at
Yeah.
this guy that said that he was talking about trees, right? He said, did you know a tree, when you plant a tree, that the root system in the ground is actually growing deeper into the ground faster than the tree growing up on top of the earth?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
The work happening underneath the ground
Yeah,
that don't
yeah.
nobody see.
Right.
Yeah.
Can't nobody see the success till later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all the same.
And to
Yeah.
add to
But-
that,
Huh?
it's
Yeah.
growing in two different directions.
That's a fact.
Wow.
It's
Yeah.
a fact. The tree is
Because
growing,
it's
it's growing
necessary
up
for balance.
and staying foundationally strong.
Right.
Mhm.
At the same time, that's your morals and principles. You know what I mean? But you can't, the formula is just not complicated, even though I sit here today trying to still master it in myself, is because when we say no pain, no gain, every person to a man that has been successful that I've heard, whether it's entertainers in business, you know what they say? I just didn't quit.
Yep. That's
Right.
it.
All of them say that.
That's it.
And you be sitting here like
Grit.
thinking they did something, and then they gonna write a book and put have a summit and teach you how to do it. But the real thing they did was didn't quit the thing they were doing.
Mhm.
Exactly.
The idea that God planted in them based on the gifts he gave them to produce, not your plan. So I can give you my book on how I did it, but you just gonna make me rich. But
Yeah.
what I did was I didn't quit the thing I was doing.
Yeah.
Because all these people selling all these damn books, if it was working, why are you selling books? Why don't you just keep doing it again?
Mhm. Right.
Am I right?
Right.
Yes and no.
I mean, this is.
But I'll
listen,
explain.
Depending
No,
on the book.
and I can explain what I
Depending on the
mean.
book.
Yeah.
What I mean is there are a lot of people that have made success, right? If the success were that monetarily big that you're going to help me make $1 million, Why you selling me a $8 book instead of replicating your multi-million-dollar success? That's the point I'm making about it.
And here's the Boys to Men podcast, or B2M podcast, is about 5 guys who've been friends for over 40 years. Between the 5 of us, we've been married for over 100 combined years. Between the 5 of us, we have 13 children, 12 sons. We discuss in our podcast about our journeys into fatherhood and how we raised our sons to be fine young men. From 6-figure earners at LinkedIn to a professional Call of Duty player, college educated entrepreneurs, that's who we are. Our podcast is not a how to do it podcast. It is a podcast about how we did it. Come check us out. And here's the point I would make.
You gonna say that's part of that multi-million-dollar success?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, I'm gonna say that when you do it, that I believe God blessed you with it because it's your responsibility to bless and share it with others. So that I believe you owe it to the world. If I come up with something and I know what it is and I know how to do it, I believe I have an obligation, a responsibility, and a duty to share it with the world. And that's exactly why we're sitting up
But what
here.
I know what Key will do when he does that, what Key is gonna say, I did this, then let me tell you. I know this worked for me, but let me tell you what I'm not promising you. That it's gonna work for you.
That's
Because
right.
I'm not telling you how to do it. I'm telling you how I did
we
it.
did
There
it.
you
But
go.
that's not what the stuff
That's
I'm
not what
talking
people
about
saying.
is not what I'm talking about.
I see your point.
You know what I'm saying?
I see your point.
Yeah.
And that's a real thing, man. We gotta, I tell my son all the time, he an entrepreneur, both of them, but Darius in particular, and in his line of work, there are multiple problems every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Every single day. And what I try to help him with is that the emotional side of struggle,
Mm-hmm.
don't get too high, don't get too low when you're encountering these challenges. And it's funny because I got this little saying that I say to him, and I'm like, all right, CEO, show me what you got. Let's see.
Is that
That's
taking
what
a,
this
is that taking
That's
a
what
jab
this
at
is.
him?
No, that's saying that's what this is.
Okay, this was what a CEO
This-
do. This
that's
comes with
right.
the territory.
As the CEO and the founder of your business, it is your responsibility to solve the problems of that business.
Okay.
That's your responsibility. And to then put people around you that can execute on the solutions. That's your job.
You know what I say to my son?
What?
That's why you the boss.
Same thing. Exactly.
Yeah, and what should I
That's
tell
why
my
you the
son?
boss.
Exactly.
You the man.
You the
You
man,
the hardest
Tyreek.
working man in media. Like, that's the yeah. But you really
Nah,
the point
for
is
sure.
that's what this is. I like
That's
how you
what-
said it because I Jeremiah's in a management position as a young manager over a lot of people older than him,
Uh-huh.
and he comes and tells me the stories, and I'm like, yeah. And the good thing is, I know some of the stories he's telling me, I could answer and fill in all the blanks and tell you how it's gonna go, but I just sit and smile and say, yeah. So what you do?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. I mean, I love it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I love the fact he's stressed out about it.
Yeah.
I mean, what I mean is that he got to
In-
figure
in a
out
healthy way.
how to make some people older than him fall in line with his leadership, and consistently, not that they bucking him, but I'm saying to get the organization running smooth.
Hey, bro, that's so
And-
funny you say that because Darius struggling with that right now.
Yeah.
Like straight up, like he had one particular employee that Darius like, Dad, I don't understand. I was like, I'll talk to him. Let me just have a regular conversation with dude.
Yeah.
It wasn't even about the problems.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was just having a regular conversation. And when I left from that conversation with the gentleman, I came and I told Darius, I said, he's struggling with your age. You're 29 years old, you're the CEO of this company, and he's 63. And he's struggling with that because in a 15-minute conversation, he referred to Darius's age at least 10 or 12 times.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
right.
Man, I mean, he's so young. He a young fella. He'll come along. He'll get it. He a young guy. I've been around. I'm retired. He was a retired gentleman,
Yeah.
but he had chose to get back into the workplace. and was working for Darius. But he talked about how young Darius was
Wow.
multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you don't have the time to bring him along and help him overcome what he's hung up on. So you probably need to start looking to hire somebody else because he won't last much longer. Bro, he lasts like 5 more days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And you know, talking about the CEO thing, I mean, I had those same conversations, you know, you had with your son as well as with your son. But, you know, one thing I did do, I ordered a book on Amazon about CEOs. Because I was like, you know, I've been in business for years or whatever, but there's a ton of things that I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm actually reading this book right now. This 10x is easier than 2x, and what it's explaining is in the nutshell is the 20% of business that you're extremely good at, double up on that, lean more towards that,
Right.
and delegate the 80 that you struggle with.
Mm.
And that right there is really helping
Wow.
me on this journey that I'm going on. And like I said, hey man, you know, read this book, man, because this you know, you're gonna hear some stories and you only gonna really be able to obtain 5 to 10% of all that's in the book. I
Mhm.
mean, that's it. But at the same time, you can be able to grow from there and be able to use these experiences.
Yeah. And the whole thing we talking about in terms of helping children deal with the effects of life's ups and downs and just algorithm, if you will. It's important that they know what's important first. And what's important first is not your career, all of this. What's important first is you loving yourself. And that sounds basic, but I was
That's
having
everything.
a conversation with my wife, and I was like, one of the problems that I see in the world is with stuff like that is what we think is important is grossly different from what we ultimately learn is important, right? Because everybody gets to the point where they say, you know what, I saw Will Smith the other day. He said, I am sitting telling you, somebody was interviewing him, that after having bought literally everything that I said I ever wanted to think of, money does not bring you happiness. Right? So we get to, it's unfortunate that we get to a older and we realize that. But I've been making sure those types of things that I overemphasize to my sons right now, man.
Great point.
Because I overemphasize. I say, because listen, ultimately, all of us say we want to get to heaven or to hereafter somewhere, or to be in favor with the universe, or to live as long as we can. Whatever category people want to put themselves in. Right? We all say that. And we do those things, but the things we want that make us feel important to other people, the materials, the things that actually make us happy right now, right, are none of the things that the God or the universe or them people that operating these gates to let you in are interested in. They don't care. God is less interested in if you got an idea, you make $8 billion, than if you got an idea and you go feed 800 people.
That's
so
right.
if you make sure and you try to build in your children that their happiness came from the joy I felt when I told the story about the little boy that came down, and my joy wasn't that I gave him $10. The joy was that he listened, or that you start finding joy in being generous and in doing good deeds as you move around to free a slave and to feed the poor.
Right.
If you find joy in all of that, all of the business stuff you do really is just like, it's motion. Oh, I'm moving it. It's like I'm in a mail. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead now. You're not emotionally drained about the outcomes because your happiness don't come from them outcomes.
Man, it's too important. I've heard people say this, and many people have said it.
Did I say it?
The two, you might have said it.
No.
The two most important, the two most important days in your life
Oh wow, yeah, this is true.
are the day you're born and the day you realize why.
Mm.
All right.
That's a quote.
And the
That's a-
next piece to that is you have not begun to live until you start to realize you're living for someone else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I didn't
You
say
know-
that.
For sure.
This is the whole thing.
That's
That
for
5
sure.
stages of a
Right.
man's life. We
Exactly.
Look at right
Exactly. So that's what we're trying to teach our young people and impart those values on them so that they can try to come to those understandings for themselves, because that's the one thing we can't give them. No matter how much we talk, no matter how much we say, we can't give them those understandings.
Mm-mm.
You know, and we can't provide, you know, you living for somebody else. Sometimes it's easy, you know, your child is born, you know.
You can model
You
it
hope.
though.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we do.
Yeah.
That's
Hey,
exactly
hey,
what we
boy,
do
I know
every
you
day.
got it. What's the Inky quote? Inky Johnson, when he talks about not being attached to the outcome. And can you commit to it after that initial fleeting feeling is gone? Can we still commit to it?
You said it. I mean, he didn't
Yeah.
say it exactly like that,
Yeah.
but that's it. You know, you can never be more committed to the outcome than you are after the initial feeling of that thing. With the moment you said you would do it,
Once the
once
inspiration
that
is
feeling
gone,
is gone, are you still just as committed? Because you never know what the outcome. That's why you tell your team. Once again, I coached for over 20 years, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. 20.
About
Two
two
decades.
decades,
Two
man.
decades.
a whole score.
And I
Yeah.
tell the players all the time, man, listen, it's all about your preparation. If you all about winning, well, guess what? The next team might come through the doors, might have LeBron James on the team. And we probably not gonna win. Okay? That's irrelevant. It's about who you are becoming in the process. That's what this is about. It's about your own journey of self-discovery. And so when you go through these moments in business, you're going to find out who you are. When you go through these moments with your girlfriend, you're going to find out who you are.
Right, yeah.
On the other side of your pain is a newer, improved version of yourself.
2.0.
And that's the person you got to become. That's why life keeps sending you these messages, these lessons to learn. That's why life keeps sending them to you. And if you don't learn it, it's going to send it to you again.
What? Say that again,
And
bro.
if you don't learn the lesson, the
It's gonna
universe
send it to
going to
you
send it to you again.
It
Hey,
may
look,
not be the same scenario,
man.
but it's gonna keep manifesting.
Bro,
itself
I was
you
trying to
and-
explain this
Mm.
in a way to my son, my family one time, and I got lost in my explanation because it's deep. I mean, when you, all right, I was trying to explain what you were saying. It was hard because it's like, I'm taking a risk because I might sound crazy now,
That's okay.
but
Take it.
it's like, first of all, even in the Bible, it talks about make you master over little before I make you master little. I make you master over much.
Much,
Yeah.
right?
You got to master this first. It's the same thing. So if life is a circumference, then if you don't master the circumference that you're in, then you stay in that circumference. When in that circumference are the possibilities related to that circumference. Do you see what I'm saying? So if you in a circumference where not a lot of money flowing because of where you are, then when you don't master it, there ain't a lot of money flowing, ain't a lot of resources over here, ain't a lot of entertainment for it. There's a reality for you based on that. The minute you master the circumference, that's what we call leveling up. Then you in a new circumference.
Right.
And that new circumference, it's a continuum, right?
Right.
It's the new circumference has a low level and a high tier. I'm entering a new circumference. Now, if you think about financial pay scales,
Mathematics.
I'm at the bottom, but the ceiling of that circumference is much higher than the ceiling of the last circumference I was in. And when I master that, there's another circumference. Now take that on the value side. Take that on the dignity side, on the character side. We got circumferences in them too. And we mastering them or not mastering them. So you can stay there or not stay there. You can keep feeling like it's your fault when you don't be successful, or you can know that there's another circumference coming. And those are the things, man.
And to further that example, what determines the circumference? The radius.
Exactly.
A man's radius determines his circumference. So
You
if
gonna
you
do
want
what
to
you want me to do.
expand
Yeah,
Yo,
speaking math. Mathematics.
circumference, you have to improve the radius. That's just real talk. Oh, go ahead. Was y'all gonna say something?
I'm
James
just gonna
was gonna
say
say-
that
man.
Brother Farrakhan
Oh.
said, "He who
Who
controls the radius of your thinking controls the circumference of your activity."
Your activity, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's right. And so that's why, my man Myron Golden, who I got it from, I don't know where he got it from. he talks about the be do have. If you talk about what you want to have, you can't have it unless you do certain things. But in order to do certain things, you have to become a person who's capable of doing a certain thing. So it doesn't matter what it is you want to have, you need to focus on who you must become.
Mhm.
So focus and work on yourself. That's why books, conferences, classes, TV shows, mentors, the people who you are around, they're going to determine who you become. And personal development is a part of that. So if you want more out of life, if you want to have more out of life, all you need to focus on is who you need to become. Because it inevitably will produce those outcomes for you.
You said
And all you really saying is be yourself.
And get better.
Yeah.
Go through the growth
Because if
spurts.
you be yourself, you're gonna keep getting better.
Yeah.
You're gonna become that. Everything that's why this is a wild podcast because we'll quote Farrakhan, then we'll go over to Myron Goldman, James Allen, now I'm about to quote Cat Williams. That's why Cat said, that's why I don't want a lot of stuff. Because if I want it and think about it, I'm going to get it.
Mm-hmm. I heard him say that.
As a man thinketh, so is he,
And
right?
you don't want to be the person,
And so,
become that person to
yeah.
get those things.
right. But the point is, and so if it's a thing that he wants that ain't good for him, he know he going to become, because he's thinking about it, I'm going to become that to get it.
Absolutely.
So I don't want stuff that I know ain't good for me.
Absolutely.
Right?
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
that's the
That's
point
good.
though, is to back to what you're saying is like we what our desires are, bro, is critical. Because we can bring it into existence. So if I believe in that goal, like Myron Goldman said, if you want to have something, if you lock into it, you're gonna get it if you don't quit.
Man, that's the one thing that I wish somebody had told me when I was younger.
Me too.
And to put it in the financial world is that when I was young, I thought to myself, man, I want to be a millionaire. I want to have all this money. I want to be able to travel all over the world. I want to do all this stuff. I wish somebody had told me it wasn't a mystery. It was a formula.
right.
I
That's
moved
what-
and
right.
operated in the world because I thought it was a mystery. And I had no idea it was an actual formula. But I ain't had nobody around me to say, here's the formula, here's how you do it. Let me show you.
And,
That's why we doing this.
and it's funny.
Because it's a formula. It's a formula. We don't go 12 for 12 with boys, 13 for 12, 13 for 13 raising young people, and it be an accident. That's
Right.
not an accident.
Right.
We're not up here because we produce 13 accidents. We up here because we produce, we came up with a formula amongst us and our wives and our significant others and our family and the village, and it produced these outcomes.
Wow.
And that's exactly why we doing this podcast. So anybody that see us and whatever we may represent to them, and they want parts of that in their life and they admire certain aspects of who we are and who our children are, that's why we do this. And it's an example for them, if they choose to use it. Everybody do their own thing, but that's why we do what we do.
It's the
That's
B2M
right.
crew
That's right.
at the Code Building in Charlottesville, Virginia, reclaiming the village. We're talking about consequences, and really we got into a discussion about teaching people to lock in, love themselves, and to understand that the universe and life has a flow. It's not about us as individuals, it's about our commitment to staying focused on our goals and objectives, locking in and putting people around our children, right? Putting people around our children, like we talked about previously, that can help them stay afloat as they deal with the vicissitudes of life. Because it's a roller coaster. After difficulty comes ease.
Come on now.
And after ease comes
comes
difficulty until we die. Take us out of here with something, Joaquin.
In the words of the great Frederick Douglass, it is easier to raise strong children than to repair broken men. Peace.
Peace.
And I won't stop until I'm winning. I'ma show them how true and independent get it. Whole game changed by the time I'm finished with it. We about to get this business handled in a minute. And I won't stop until I'm winning. They don't want me in the office 'cause